Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana.
Hare Krishna. So we are fortunate to have with us His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj. He appeared in Canada and he became connected with Krishna consciousness movement in India in 1970 and got initiation by Srila Prabhupada in just 1 year in 1971. And he took sannyas vows in 1984. He was very fortunate to be personally instructed by Srila Prabhupada in the art of deity worship, and so he has become an authority on that topic. He is playing a very important role in GBC. He has been a GBC member since 2003, and he is extensively preaching in South India and also a co-GBC for Japan. And he is a very great scholar in Sanskrit and Bengali. So he has translated 15 significant works of the Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures in English, which primarily include the commentary of our previous acharyas on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, and so on. So his contribution is a lasting one for all the followers of Srila Prabhupada. Also, his current efforts in spreading Krishna consciousness include completing the construction of a temple in Chennai and stabilizing the new temple in Tokyo, Japan. He is, due to his scholarship, he has made presentations on various topics like karma, reincarnation, yoga, and Srimad Bhagavatam. And he presents this to very highly educated people in the selected parts of the world whenever he travels. So especially we are very, very grateful to him. He visited during GBC meeting in Ujjain also, and at this most needed time, he accepted our request to give us the association, solace and strength so that we can come out of this great loss and we can understand the mood of our spiritual master and serve ISKCON throughout our life. So we are very grateful to him, and let us express our gratitude by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. You can hear?
Maharaj, sound is little slow.
Oh,
Voice.
because on, but I don't know.
Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The radio aux input mode.
What's that?
Yes.
Hello, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj. It's clear, Maharaj.
Okay, fine. Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Prachadani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. In the Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures, we often hear of the different yugas. So we have Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And in Satya Yuga, everything is very pure, and people are so pure that in general they can concentrate their mind and meditate on the Supreme Lord. As time progresses, then gradually people become contaminated a little bit and a little bit. So in Treta Yuga, they cannot concentrate anymore. And then not so much. And therefore they're given a form to concentrate on, a form of fire. So they do yagya. And Vishnu was represented by fire, material element. Time progresses, it is even more difficult to concentrate on the Lord. So instead of fire, a form of the Lord is given, that is the deity form, the Arthamurti, and rules are established to worship that form, Dwapara Yuga. As the sinful activities increase, then we come to Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, there is prominence of tamagun and sinful activities. So in Bhagavatam, it's described that 1/4 of dharma is left, and 3/4 is all adharma, sinful activity. In such a state of affairs, it is very difficult to practice spiritual life. Yet, the Lord gives the process of Nam Sankirtan for everyone. It's an easier process, so He gives the easiest process in Kali Yuga. However, we have a prominence of sinful activity and demonic nature. In Satya Yuga, there is less tamagun, less demonic nature, but we should not think that it's absent. Even in Satya Yuga, we have demons attacking the sages. So relatively speaking, it is peaceful, but nevertheless, there is disturbance from demons. And in Treta Yuga, there's more impurity, so more demons. In Dwapara Yuga, we see when Krishna was alive, there were many demons. And at the end of Kali Yuga, Kurukshetra battle took place to annihilate all the demonic elements. The Pandavas came on the throne, and as long as they ruled, the demonic element was suppressed. When Krishna disappeared, then the Pandavas also gave up the kingdom. And they gave it to Parikshit Maharaj, who was also a great devotee of the Lord. He also managed to keep the sinful activities under control. Yeah. And in the first canto of Bhagavatam, we have the story of how Parikshit was inspecting his kingdom. And then he saw a cow and a bull being attacked by this Sudra who was dressed like a king. And Pariksha chastised this impostor and prevented him from further attacking the cow and the bull. Now, the cow and the bull, of course, can be actual cow and bull that in Kali Yuga people mercilessly slaughter and cow for food. But they also, the cow and the bull also represent Dharma and the earth. So in Kali Yuga, there is a strong attack upon all sorts of Dharma, genuine Dharma, and consequently on the earth. So that is the condition that we have in Kali Yuga. As I said, it is 3/4 quarter Dharma left, and Kali Yuga is attacking the last leg of Dharma. 1/4, one leg is left. So we can expect a lot of sinful activities and demonic elements destroying Dharma and consequently destroying the earth by the cow. Parikshit Maharaj could control that destructive element. He dies with the influence of Kali while he reigned. But as a few generations passed, then the last descendant, the last line in the kingdom, marched off of the Himalayas and gave up his duties. So the world was left without any dharmic ruler descended from Bhanu. And that condition has deteriorated. The condition has deteriorated since that time until we have all sorts of disturbances in this material world, exploitation. And in the commentaries by Srila Prabhupada on the first canto describing Maharaj, he often comments upon the incompetent leaders of society that encourage the killing of the cow, that have no sense of dharma, that allow the earth to get destroyed. So that was Prabhupada was speaking in the 1950s and 60s when he wrote that commentary on the first canto. And he was seeing not only the world situation, he was also seeing the situation in India when Nehru came to power and he began to industrialize India and make it into a so-called modern nation. And in the meanwhile, Western influence began to creep in and Western fashion became very prominent in India. And the Dharma, the natural Dharma was destroyed. The Prabhupada writes often elaborate purports on how the leaders have become completely irresponsible in the modern world. So since that time, perhaps it's become worse. And now we see the condition of this the world. Of course, we do know that at all times there is conflict and war in place. Uncontrolled tendency in the modern world, and then unexpectedly we had this virus appearing, and everybody was caught off guard. Everybody was helpless. And of course, we also know the source of this virus is because human beings are breeding animals for slaughter. Commercially, they're artificially confining these animals, and because of that, the diseases from the animals, they have a chance to infiltrate the human being and cause viruses which are very, very detrimental. And this is not the first time. It's been happening 10 years ago. Not so prominent as this, it's not so contagious, but still it has happened. And every time it happens, countries go on the alert and set up temperature monitors in the airports, and you have to fill out questionnaires, etc. Now it has become extreme. So the end result of all of this is to show how the human being is quite helpless but it is not a fact that we can't do anything about it. We can do something about it, but we have to take bold steps. No one has mentioned this publicly in the big forums of the world, but quietly, some scientists and of course devotees have also been the whole source of all this problem is because of our sinful activities, and particularly the mass slaughter of animals. This is causing this virus. So this is just another sign of the demonic nature of Kali Yuga manifesting in another way to the human population and decimate it by its power. So though we may think of ourselves as very advanced scientifically, we see how now everybody is struggling to combat this virus, which is such a thing, but very, very powerful to battle the human being. So previously we had the Kurukshetra war, where the people, Dharma, the Pandavas were against the represented by Duryodhana and his allies. So now we have a society which is attacked internally by another demon. This whole society is attacked by another demon, an invisible demon that they can't even fight. They haven't got the ability to fight it because it's arose. But as devotees, we can understand that this is the natural result of not following the injunctions of Scripture and exploiting the earth, exploiting the animals, exploiting other human beings to such an extent that eventually we have a reaction taking place. So that's the general husband's point of view. So it's a very depressing outlook, the progress of Kali Yuga and the rise of the black element. But as I said, the solution in Kali Yuga is Nam Sankirtan, which has been introduced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the saving grace in Kali Yuga. So Bhagavatam says that everything is a fault in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is an ocean of fault. But yet there is one good quality, guna. And that good quality is the name of Krishna. And though we may not realize it, this is actually the solution to all the problems that we have in this world. It will be difficult to convince the leaders of society because they're looking at vaccines and things like that. But ultimately, even if they make a vaccine, then another virus will appear. Then they have to make another vaccine and another vaccine, etc. And after a while, there's so many vaccines available, they become useless also. So the solution is very radical. We have to restore the earth and the population to the path of Dharma. But not just regular Dharma like Varnashram Dharma. The center of this Dharma is Nam Sankirtan. This is the Yuga Dharma. So somehow or other, all the devotees have to concentrate on influencing people to take up the name. And though it looks like a religious solution, which is sentimental for some people, we can never underestimate the power of this to transform the whole. So the transformation of society will take place by the transformation of the jiva. We can't rely on superficial changes of circumstances or economic levels and superficial cures for diseases. The real cure is the
upliftment of the jiva, to turn the jiva from a bahirmukha jiva to an antarmukha jiva who is favorable to Krishna. So that is on one maybe very difficult because people have so many ideas in their heads. Nevertheless, this is the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is also the decision of, or the verdict of Scripture, that this is the method for uplifting Kali Yuga and transforming it from its demoniac state into a proper condition. So the name of the Lord is non-different from Krishna, and the name has got potency on all levels. The name is called Chintamani, or touchstone. So a touchstone, of course, in the material world can give you material things, but Krishna is a touchstone. He can give you any material benefit, including cure from diseases and eradication of poverty and comfortable living, etc. Krishna can give liberation, and Krishna can also give. So Krishna gives all possible benedictions. The name of the Lord also is the same. It is non-different from Krishna. So also give its upliftment on all levels, material level and on spiritual level. So in other words, this potency is covers everything, material and spiritual. For us devotees, of course, we're not so much interested in the material aspects, we're interested in the spiritual aspect. But the materialists, they're more interested in the material aspect. So the name of the Lord also covers that. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, in the summary, Sanjaya mentions that where there's Krishna and Arjuna, then there is victory, there is righteousness, there is prosperity. So along with the development of prema and spiritual wealth, we also get everything to give us facility in this material world, so that we can live a life favorable for Krishna. So the chanting of the holy name can give us progress in all levels. The mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has manifested 500 years ago, approximately, and the seeds have been spread to all parts of the world. This is something extraordinary. Bhakti is very rare. Karma yoga is not rare as far as times were concerned. Everybody was following Varnashram and the king ruled the world. Nowadays, even that is rare. Jnana is rarer than that, because only some people in karma yoga system become qualified by sattva guru, and then they can take to the process of jnana. But bhakti is rarer than that. So to take to the process of devotional service, that requires the evolution of the jiva over many births through karma yoga and jnana yoga. Finally, we get to bhakti yoga. So it is very, very rare under normal circumstances. Nevertheless, there are arrangements for bhakti in all yugas, and particularly in Kali Yuga, there is no other resort. Karma yoga has disappeared. Jnana yoga has disappeared. So our only resort is bhakti yoga for everybody. So it's not so uncommon in Kali Yuga. So the way in which this takes place is by the chanting of the holy name. This makes the process of bhakti
not so rare. Even so, people are at different levels. So the Bhagavatam often speaks about qualification. You can only act according to your qualification. And some people are not qualified for bhakti. Therefore, you can't even preach to them. So we have one offense to the holy name. Don't preach to faithless people. So that's a principle we have to follow. Otherwise, we commit offense against the holy name. At the same time, we have the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, preach everywhere. Or we have the instruction of Guru, preach everywhere. I would see that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur encouraged Prabhupada to preach. So he went to the Western world. Everybody was completely unqualified. Yet he was expected to preach there. He tried, and he became successful. So we do have the injunction, don't preach to the faithful people. We have to observe that. But then we have this great mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in which he wants to uplift even the aparadhis. So how do we correlate these two principles of compassionate preaching and not committing offense? Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned we have to preach according to qualification. If we see that somebody has faith, or if he doesn't have faith, at least he has no hostility towards the Lord, then you can preach. And according to the level of the person, you have to preach differently. So you have to use your intelligence when you preach also. But what about most of the people that don't have faith? What do you do to those people? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we do not preach directly. We preach indirectly. So what does this mean? We engage them in devotional service without telling them about Krishna. This is what we call agyata smriti, or we'd say unconscious devotional acts. And so, in other words, we can give people prasadam, and we don't have to tell them prasadam. And this will alter the jiva a little bit. If that person constantly takes prasadam, and then that jiva gets more influenced, and eventually that jiva becomes favorable and develops. So not only prasadam, people can hear the name. We cannot preach to them about the name because they don't have faith and they won't listen, but we can expose them to the name of Krishna. They can hear the kirtan. We can show the form of the Lord. That is why we have Rath Yatra, so that the people in general can see the form of Jagannath. They may not know what that form is, but simply by seeing that form, they get some influence. The jiva becomes a little bit favorable. So we have to use our intelligence to find all sorts of means of exposing everyone in society to Krishna. And then they get a little bit influenced. So the more they get influenced, then eventually they develop faith or shraddha. Then we can start. We have these two methods of preaching to people, and we have to judge what's more suitable in what circumstance. And if we do that, then we can fulfill the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the name every town and village. This was Lord Chaitanya's order. After he departed, that there were some enthusiastic preachers. Nityananda was very enthusiastic, and he spread kirtan all over Bengal and Bangladesh. And others in Orissa took up the movement, also Ramananda. Srinivasacharya later took up the movement. Narottam Das took up the movement also. And it also spread up into Manipur and other regions in eastern India. But after a few hundred years, the spreading stopped. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur discovered the theology of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a little bit disappointed, because here was the conclusion of all philosophies and theologies. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had studied Upanishads and Western philosophy, material philosophy, and he'd studied Christian philosophy and religion. So he had a background because he had studied all of these things. But when he came to the philosophy and theology of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "This is the highest thing. This is the conclusion of all religions and philosophy. Whatever good points are there in any philosophy or theology is there, but in its highest form, in what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presents." And very enthusiastic. Fortunately, he couldn't even find a good copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita anywhere. He had to search and search and search. Finally, he found a copy and he published that. He also wrote a little commentary on it. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was alive, Lord Chaitanya's movement was not in a very good condition. So he enthusiastically began to preach. He wrote works in Sanskrit. He wrote works in Bengali. He wrote works in English to cater to different types of people. So he wrote in Sanskrit to cater to the traditionalists who needed some, Sanskrit work. So up until that time, most of the works in Lord Chaitanya's movement were written in Sanskrit, like the works of the so he wrote in Sanskrit. But he also understood in even in Bhaktivinoda's time in the 1850s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, not so many people knew Sanskrit anymore. So then he wrote works in Bengali also, like Jaiva Dharma and Chaitanya Shikshamrita. So he was enthusiastic to cater to the different ways. And then he wrote all sorts of works. He even wrote like novels. He wrote a novel, and then Jaiva Dharma is almost like a novel, also with a lot of philosophy in it. So he experimented with different methods of communicating with people in the modern world. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also took up that message, eager to spread the movement of Lord Chaitanya. So he renounced the world and took sannyas, and he began vigorously preaching. Within his lifetime, he established all over India different mutts, and he even sent people to Burma and England and Germany to preach. So Prabhupada also was very enthusiastic to take up that mission, and he had his goal was to follow the order of his spiritual master. And what was that order? So he recalls that when he first met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, "You should be so much interested in this independence movement, all these political things and whatever. Rather, you should take up movement of Lord Chaitanya, preach to the English-speaking public, the modern people, and people in the modern world, young people." So Prabhupada, of course, took some time to digest that. And it eventually became his life and soul to do that, to spread the movement of Lord Chaitanya. So he comments that he understood that he should follow the order of the spiritual master when he read Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita on Vyavasayamaka Buddhi, how to develop this one-pointed intelligence dedicated to Krishna, not distracted on material goals and karma, etc. So he preached, or he was reading the commentary, and in that commentary it says that one should take the order of the spiritual master as a life-sustaining medicine. When people get sick, chronic sickness, sometimes the doctor orders them to take some medicine. And if they don't take the medicine, then they get sicker, they may die. People that have diabetes, serious diabetes, sometimes if they don't take their medicine, then they'll get much worse. Or if they have a heart condition, have to take some high blood pressure, then they have to take some medicine. Otherwise, they will also. So there is a very crucial medicine that you have to take to maintain your life. So to maintain your spiritual life, you also need the medicine. And what is that medicine? That is the instruction of the guru, the spiritual master. So Prabhupada read that, and then he thought, oh, my guru has given me this order, English speaking. That's his order. That's the life-sustaining medicine. That will make my spiritual life successful. So he made that order his life and soul. Spiritual progress depended on fulfilling that order. And therefore, he made the sacrifice of going off to America at an old age when he was not in good physical condition. And he suffered a heart attack on the boat. Once he got to America, didn't know anybody. And he just kept trying to. And as I said, it's difficult because who's got faith in Krishna? In the 1960s in America, nobody knew the word Krishna. Nobody knew the word mantra. Nobody knew about vegetarian food. All these things are completely unknown at that time. So very, very difficult to preach. But because of the order of a spiritual master, then he says, I have to do this, it doesn't matter. And then he writes that maybe if I go to America and I make one or two devotees, very good, then I'm successful. But we see that somehow or other, Krishna was very merciful, and he didn't make one or two devotees, he made thousands of devotees. But yet he still says, the only reason I'm successful is I follow the order of my spiritual master. So this, of course, was long after the disappearance of Bhakti Charu Swami Thakur, but he kept that order in his mind, and this became his means of doing his activities, his inspiration for doing activities from that point all the way until he disappeared from the earth. So at a certain point in time, we should realize that our guru has a special mission, and he has given us some special orders as well. And if we can try to concentrate on those and develop them so that preaching can be spread in all parts of the world, then we fulfill the order of our spiritual master. We've also become successful spiritually, and we've increased the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is something that we can always look forward to. If the spiritual master departs, we can no longer serve him directly. So the Vapu Seva, or service to his body, is no longer there. But more important than the Vapu Seva is the Vani Seva, to serve the instruction of the spiritual master. Prabhupada made that instruction his life and soul, and that was his inspiration for preaching all around the world. So similarly, every devotee should take the order of the spiritual master and try to fulfill that, and in that way, individually you become successful, and thus you please the spiritual master, and you make Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very satisfied as well. You make Prabhupada very least, by fulfilling that order. So there is a general order, which is mentioned by Chakravarti. Yes, you have to fulfill the order in the spiritual master and your life-sustaining medicine. Then he says what the order is. The ultimate order is that you should attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. In other words, your spiritual advancement to the highest level is the ultimate order. And we see this as what the function of guru. We should not think of the function of guru as some material thing. Function of guru is to get us above the material world, then take us to the spiritual world and serve eternally. That's his function. So all these other, we should not mix this up with all the material you may give or whatever. Rather, we should concentrate on that spiritual function of the spiritual master and whatever valuable instructions he's given to you to advance in devotional service, surpassing the material world and all the attractions in the material world. How to develop more and more attraction to serving Krishna. Any instruction for that is most valuable. That's the ultimate purpose of the spiritual master. The guru can also give individual instructions. He may give an instruction to preach in a certain place. He sent some disciples to China or wherever. Someone he sent to Australia. Someone he sent to Japan. So the individual orders or instructions may also be there. But of course, ultimately, all of these are going back to the idea that his function is to deliver us to Krishna. So if you didn't get an individual instruction, at least you have that general instruction. And you should look for all of the advice that Bhakti Charu Swami has given on how you can advance in devotional service and attain the lotus feet of Radha. And if you can do that, that is what is to the spiritual master. He's fulfilled his function nicely if he's able to help you advance in devotional service. So, as I said, the Vani Seva is important. And even if the spiritual master is physically present, though we may want to do the Vapu Seva, ultimately, even then, the Vani Seva is very, very important. And actually, it's more important than anything else because we should try to follow the orders of the spiritual master as much as possible. And that way, and we can advance, and that way we please the spiritual master. So we should try as much as possible to fulfill that order. And by doing that, there is no separation from the spiritual master. Though we may think from our limited point of view that the spiritual master has disappeared, that's a very limited material vision. If we serve properly and we follow the order properly, then we have the presence of the spiritual master. Once the guru is out of his material body, he's not limited like us in one place. So we should not think of limitation at all. If we can follow the order properly, then we can connect with the spiritual master. And for us, then he becomes living. This is the experience of the devotees of Srila Prabhupada. They were very attached to Prabhupada, and then he disappeared. What are they going to do? So they had no resort but to follow his orders, follow his instructions as best they could. And if they sincerely followed, then they had great satisfaction. And in this way, they felt the presence of Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, this is a method by which we can invoke the Guru by following his instructions, whether he's physically present or not. And in this way, we can get our spiritual satisfaction, and we please the spiritual master. Okay. Want questions or anything?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, yes, we have one question.
Mhm.
This devotee is asking, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, thank you very much for your association. The unexpected and sudden departure of Guru Maharaj has given the biggest shock of life to many devotees. I, I am personally feeling lamentation that I could not serve Vapu of Guru Maharaj enough, although
Mhm.
I could do. I am trying to focus on his instructions given to me, but feeling very weak and broken-hearted. Please guide how to come over this.
Yeah. If we see the example of Srila Prabhupada, he actually didn't get much Vapu Seva at all with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He met him a few times only. He didn't get to serve him much at all. Yet we see that he took that order very strongly. And then among all the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he became the outstanding disciple, not because he wanted to be famous or anything, but because he could accomplish so much and fulfill the order of the spiritual master. So yes, it is good to serve the Vapu. And of course, in scriptures, we see that you should meaningfully serve, just like Krishna and Sudama, they served Sandapani Muni by going to the forest and getting wood for the fires every day, and really risk their life because a storm happened, etc. And of course, in the Vedas, we see that you should come before Guru with firewood in your hand, Samit Pani Sotriyam Brahmanishtam. You should come with firewood in your hand, so you do some menial service as well. So that is definitely there. And in Bhagavad Gita, we see Hari Prashnena Sevaya. You should be very inquisitive about spiritual life, and you should also do seva. But then we have both sevas. We have the Vapu seva, like carrying the firewood in the Vedic tradition, or in our tradition, you can cook for the Guru or clean his room or whatever. But then we have the Pani seva, follow the instructions. So both are there, but as I said, serving the instruction is the most crucial one. And we see from Prabhupada's example, that is what he excelled in. He didn't get the chance to have the Vapu Seva so much. He only met him several times. And even then, not for long periods of time. He never even stayed with him for a long period of time. But he took the instruction as his life and soul, and then he accomplished so much. So yes, you can lament for not having the chance of Vapu Seva, but if you can do the Vani Seva, then your spiritual master will be very pleased by that. Of course, you have no alternative now. So if you can do that, you can advance nicely, and then your spiritual master serves his function of helping you progress spiritually.
Yes, Maharaj, we have another question from Radharani Priya Mataji. She is thanking for explaining importance of Guru's instruction, and she is requesting, if possible, to share some personal exchanges with His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj.
Actually, when I think probably 1976, probably, or maybe 77. That's when I first saw Bhakti Charu Swami. He was serving Srila Prabhupada. Of course, we were all young. He was also young at that time. But my impression was he was a very intelligent person and a very refined person. The when people joined the movement from America and other places, some had a rather rough character, whatever like that. And even the Indians that joined, maybe a little bit rough or not so well educated, etc. But on seeing Bhakti Charu Swami at that time, then I could understand that he has a certain level of refinement about him. It's the way he acted. And of course, I didn't know it, but he had also got very good education. Had come from a good family, etc. And he was personally serving Prabhupada. So obviously Prabhupada was also pleased by his good nature and his gentle manner and his refined way of speaking, etc. So that was my first impression. After that, I didn't see much because I went back to Japan, and then after that, Srila Prabhupada disappeared. So I didn't get the chance at that time to meet with him. Later on, I served in South India with the BBT, among other things, and Bhakti Charu Swami was in charge of the Bengali BBT. And he also had taken the project of translating all of the Prabhupada's English works into Bengali, like Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary, etc. So that was a rather big project, but he dedicated himself to that. And then he was also responsible for publishing all the works in Bengali. Yeah. So because I was doing some BBT work for the Tamil language, then I got the chance to meet him on certain occasions for BBT work, like getting transparencies for color pictures, etc. And at that time, of course, I always noticed that one thing, he was a very good host. Different devotees would be coming, and he would be welcoming them, and he would feed them, house them, etc., take care of all their needs, so they didn't have to worry. And he continued that type of service later also, even after he left the BBT. He was always very considerate to all the different devotees. So whenever we meet him, he was welcome us and make sure that we were comfortable and we had good prasadam, etc. So that type of attitude continued all the way through up until the present time. Even, what was it, I think last, yeah, I think the last time I met him was in Mayapur during the Gaur Purnima festival. Before that, we had our GBC meetings. So we had the opportunity then to come to his room several times, and there he also welcomed us all very nicely. Of course, we were talking a lot of business also, maybe some not so pleasant managerial stuff, but nevertheless, he was always very cordial to everybody, and in spite of all of our distractions from all these other problems going on in the society, he was gave us comforting messages and also fed us sumptuously. So in all cases, he was a perfect gentleman and a hope for welcoming and serving the devotees. So that's become one of his major qualities that everybody remembers, how very gentle and humble he was, and ready to serve everyone and try to please them and make them feel very, very comfortable.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there is one devotee, Srinivas Nitai Prabhu. He is asking, devotees have to take some risk in the service of the Lord. What should be the guiding principle for devotees as to how much risk they can take? What should be our attitude when it appears that we have taken more risk than required?
Yes. So yes, there's always a risk. Sometimes the devotees are very enthusiastic. Yeah, this is a situation of risk at the moment, but we see previously there are many risks, like preaching in Africa, people undertook very great risks. And in communist Russia, the devotees took a great risk also then. So there've been times like that, and sometimes there were wars, like I think there were some wars in Chechnya and other places like that. So, and the devotees took risks to distribute prasadam, etc. So one can do that. At the same time, we should have enough intelligence to try to take all precautions so that we don't risk too much. Some risk okay, but we shouldn't risk too much. Otherwise, we'll stop our service to Krishna. So we could continue longer. So we have to use our intelligence to see what is the maximum risk we can take without really endangering our own self, our health, or our life. So the general principle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was that we certainly we should preach, but we're also responsible for maintaining our bodies. And therefore we have to take consideration of that and not go to extremes. So we take care of our body and keep it in such a condition that we can nicely do our devotional service. So we balance the preaching with maintaining our body so that we can remain Krishna conscious. And if we can do that, then we can keep preaching.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, a devotee from Indore, Somesh Rathi Prabhu, is asking, how should we see departure of Guru Maharaj as perfect arrangement of Krishna? We find it difficult to accept. Please guide.
We should look at all of the departure. We look at the departure of Krishna. Krishna departed. How did the Pandavas feel? They were devastated. Then when Parikshit was there, then the Pandavas marched off to the Himalayas and he was left all alone. He felt devastated also in one sense. When the Pandavas were in problem, then people were wondering, why doesn't Krishna help the Pandavas? Why do they get banned for 13 years to the forest? What is Krishna doing for them? And even Bhishma said, I cannot understand the plan of the Supreme Lord, how he acts like this. Nevertheless, I have faith that somehow or other he has his plan. He couldn't understand. This is Bhishma Dev speaking. I cannot understand the plan of the Lord. Devi makes a similar expression. I cannot understand the plan of the Lord also. So what to speak of us? Definitely we cannot also understand the plan of the Lord. Nevertheless, we accept it as somehow the Lord has some a particular purpose in doing this. When Srila Prabhupada left again, the devotees were thinking, how is it that Srila Prabhupada left? He hadn't completed the Bhagavatam, so and he wanted to do other works as well. So why didn't the Lord keep him there to? He wanted to translate Mahabharata and Ramayana and Padma Purana and other works, but he didn't even get to finish the Bhagavatam. So why did Krishna do that? So the devotees would, feeling puzzled by that. But we just have to the Lord determines when the devotee is useful for a certain purpose here, and then he also balances that with the need of that same devotee somewhere else. Yeah. So when the need somewhere else becomes prominent, then he withdraws him from the earth here, and he puts him somewhere else. So that we simply have to accept the plan. We don't know what it is. If you have advanced spiritual vision, maybe you can understand. You get beyond time and space and whatever, and you can just see things from a higher perspective, then probably you can understand. But at the present moment, because our minds are also affected by influence of time and material energy, etc., it's very, very difficult for us to do that. Even those who are very advanced or Nityasiddhas even, they have difficulty understanding just because of us, if we're conditioned, people have conditioning. So we cannot really understand that. But because we have faith in Krishna, then we accept. Just as the Nityasiddhas like Bhishma accepted, okay, I don't understand what Krishna was doing, but it must be a perfect plan of some sort. So similarly, we also have to take that stance and accept the verdict of Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There is a devotee from Pune, Parshuram Prabhu. He is asking question. We have heard that Guru comes back to this material world to claim his disciples back to Krishna. Is it true, Maharaj?
Yeah. So question is does it happen or how does it happen? What's the question?
He is asking, is that true? That's it.
Yeah. So yes, the Guru makes a vow to deliver the disciple, and hopefully all the disciples will get delivered. It may take several lifetimes, however. So because of the responsibility, then the Guru was obligated. However, he can also depute others. He could also give that responsibility. Others can also take up that role of delivering the other disciples or whatever. So it doesn't have to be one person. He can also designate to other persons as well. So he may send other persons back into this material world to help deliver his disciples who may continue for many, many births in the future. So in that way, the responsibility is shared with others as well. So that's one way of looking at it. And the other, of course, is that Krishna himself, understanding the position of the Guru and his disciples, he also makes proper arrangements for them somehow or other. Nevertheless, the promise is there of the Guru, so somehow it should be fulfilled.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There is a devotee, Amarendra Prabhu. He is asking, Guru has given so much Vani. Among so much Vani, which instructions specifically I should practice in my life?
Well, we can say the same thing about Srila Prabhupada. He given so many books and so many instructions everywhere. So that's a good fortune that we have many instructions to follow. Ultimately, of course, as I said, all the instructions are leading that somehow or other you have to attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. That's the ultimate, the goal of the Guru, to deliver you to Krishna. And all the other orders are, we can say, subsets of that one order in different ways. Some might be particular services like deity worship or preaching, whatever. But they're all leading to that ultimate attain the lotus feet of Krishna, or other. So as long as a connection is there between a particular order and a particular service with ultimately becoming conscious, and that would be pleasing too.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There is one Mataji Kirtida Gopika Dasi. She is asking, the only interaction I had with my beloved spiritual master is that he gave me initiation. I want to make his instruction reason for my survival now. Will he come to take me at the time of my death, even if he does not know me?
So, of course, we have that same case with Srila Prabhupada. Some of his devotees, they only got initiation, some only by mail. They never even got direct initiation, and maybe by mail or something like that, they got initiated. And maybe they saw Prabhupada once from a distance as he got out of the car and walked into the temple. So there are cases with Srila Prabhupada the same, that they didn't get any real direct contact and conversation or instructions like that. But as I said, even Prabhupada himself with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati didn't get that much personal contact either. But so we should not feel a loss even then. Certainly it's good to have that personal contact more and more, but if we don't get it, at least somehow we should study what he's been teaching us. So one of the functions of the Guru, besides giving mantra, is to give instruction. That's the shiksha. So he's a diksha guru, and he's also a shiksha guru. So that shiksha is very, very important for us. If we can get the essence of that instruction, then we can be successful. So it may take some work to discover the essence of what he's being teaching. But in any endeavor, you make that effort, you get the essence, and you follow that, then you're successful.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Manu Das from Mumbai. He's asking, right now, our hearts are very tender and we are feeling intense pain on sudden departure of Gurudev. In long run, however, being conditioned souls, we may not feel the same way and forget instructions from Gurudev. How do we continue to meditate upon his instructions and act on it in mode of goodness as opposed to the mode of passion and stay steady on the path of following Guru Maharaj instruction? Yourself.
Well, everything requires repetition and practice. So even in the material world, if you want to attain some goal, then we have to concentrate on it and practice and practice and practice. If we want to study and get a degree in college, then we have to study in order to get the degree. So in spiritual life also, there is some effort required, some desire. We have some desire. Then we have to make an effort to do that, and it has to be continuous. We have to repeat doing it, and after we keep repeating doing it, then it becomes more or less like habitual, becomes a habit for us, and then we can concentrate more on the devotional aspect of it. So we should try to make it a habit of remembering the instructions and implementing those instructions. And if we do that with devotion, then we will get higher taste. We get our taste, we're more inspired to do more. And it's actually not gunas at all. Sattva guna is okay, but that's a material guna also. The bhakti itself is not in the gunas. And so your attempts to follow the spiritual master and his order are also beyond the material gunas. So by remembering and following those orders, we transcend the three modes of material nature.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Anil Gaurang Prabhu from Ujjain is asking, Guru Maharaj himself said before going that West is hell. Then why he left his body there?
Best is
Left his body there.
in America?
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh, because America's hell. Well,
That's what Guru Maharaj said in one of the class.
yes. So we know that the devotee is not concerned whether it's heaven or hell, as long as he serves Krishna, then it's beyond heaven or hell. So in other words, even Srila Prabhupada would say, why would he go to America full of demons? But yet he went there because he had faith in the order of a spiritual master, and he didn't care about hell or whatever, demons or whatever. If he could make it sweet, that was transcendental. So that made up for the whatever asuric, demoniac surroundings he was placed in. So the devotee is indifferent to the material conditions. It could be svarga or it could be hell. In either case, it's all material world. So that's not what's important for him. What's important that he connects everything to Krishna, he preaches, etc. That is the sweetness that the devotee gets beyond material world.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There is one devotee from Ujjain. Kirti Juneja, and she is asking, I was in temple from the time when I was of 10 months, but never realized Guru Maharaj's association. But 8 months ago, I had a serious accident, and when Guru Maharaj got to know that, he prayed to Krishna that I get saved. He gave me a new life. Then I realized his association, and my love for him increased immensely. Then Guru Maharaj left us. So now I cannot even serve Guru Maharaj physically, and I do not have so much memories with him now. So how can I serve him every time? Because I regret that he saved my life, but I couldn't even serve him properly.
Yeah, so as I said, we shouldn't consider that he's left or that he cannot respond. So if you worship like doing Guru Puja or you're doing a personal worship, that also he receives. We not say also receives that worship. We see even in the material world, if you do Shraddha rites for your departed ancestor, they get the result. We can't see how it works, but they get the result of the Shraddha rites of all things. So we have devotion, and we're somehow trying to serve Guru, then he can also receive that, and he understands, and he gets he develops affection because of your service and your worship. And if we do a particular service, I would also appreciate that. He's not limited by the rules of this material world. So you shouldn't think that he is not available and not in knowledge and not responding to your particular service. No, he can be aware of all of that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, one devotee is asking, does a devotee who is very much inspired from his Siksha Guru, does one also meet his Siksha Guru also after one leaves body?
Do you need the Siksha Guru?
He's asking that one does a devotee who is very much inspired from his
Yes.
Siksha Guru,
Yes.
does he also meet Siksha Guru after he leaves the body?
Yeah, why not? Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, they're all giving more or less the same function of giving mercy to the disciple, and they are treated equally with equal respect, with equal worship. After they disappear from this planet, again, the relationship is there, and we can worship and serve them, and they also respond to that. Either Shiksha or Diksha, doesn't matter.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there is devotee Kurma Avatar Prabhu. He is asking, I have taken first initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and I was aspiring to take second initiation as well in order to serve further. But Maharaj has left the planet, so what should I do now? If I take initiation from any other disciple of Srila Prabhupada, what should be the proper mood in which I approach him, your servant?
Yeah. So we have the case even with Srila Prabhupada. Some got first initiation from Prabhupada, that was it. So then after Prabhupada disappeared, then they took their second initiation from some present guru. So that there's no problem for that. One should have faith in that person, definitely. But at the same time, more of a devotion to Bhakti Charu Swami, whatever, because of your relationship with him. And but nevertheless, you can take. There's no objection for taking that second initiation from another person. This isn't the case with Srila Prabhupada. People took second initiation from some other spiritualist.
One Mataji, Sumaduri Radhika Mataji, she is asking, Krishna returned his Guru's son from Yamaloka, that is Sandipani Muni's son, as a Guru Diksha and Dakshina, and Guru Maharaj's purpose was right to go for preaching in West. Then why God did not listen to a pure prayer of so many people, so many devotees, and how to believe in his kindness? Please forgive.
Yeah, as I said, we cannot understand the plan of the Lord completely, and even the greatest devotees like Bhishma also expresses that he's also puzzled by the affairs with the Lord. From our point of view, yes, we prefer that Bhakti Charu Swami remain alive and continue to serve. I want to see the larger picture of not only this universe, but all the universes in existence, and also the spiritual world, and the other needs that are there in other places. So we don't understand that at all. Krishna understands, but we don't understand. So therefore, from our point of view, yes, why didn't Krishna just respond to our prayers? But we can have other prayers from other universes and from the spiritual world also, and those have to be taken into consideration. So if we take into consideration all the facts which only Krishna can do, then he makes his decision. As I said, if you become completely spiritual and you go to the spiritual world, then maybe you're going to understand why it's like this. But at the present moment, we can't. Difficult for us because our minds are so conditioned and limited.
Hare Krishna. Channa Paul Mataji from yeah. She is asking, what is the instruction for devotees intensely aspiring to take Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's shelter?
Taking shelter.
Yes,
Well, they
Maharaj.
can still follow his instructions, but as far as taking initiation, etc., then they will have to find some other person for that, other devotee for that. But they can always take shelter of his instructions. Even now, it's no problem. So he's acting as a Shiksha Guru, just as all devotees also take shelter of Prabhupada, and he becomes their Shiksha Guru also. Now they take initiation from some guru, present some devotee, but still they have a Shiksha Guru relationship. Sometimes the relationship with that Shiksha Guru may be stronger than with the Diksha Guru.
There is one devotee from Chandigarh. His name is Sahil. He is asking, how can we do service of your lotus feet, Guru Maharaj Ji? Dandavat Pranam.
How we can do service? Well, as I said, you follow the instructions. You look for some good instructions that he gave to the devotees in general, and you try to follow that very, very sincerely. And then Guru was pleased with that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So we are very much thankful to you for. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your kindness, instilling faith in our hearts to understand the inconceivable plan of the Lord and inspiring us to focus on Vani of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and follow that throughout life. We beg we beg for your blessings so that we can follow your instructions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. We will be sharing.
Okay.
We will be sharing one of the picture of yours with His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is, I think, a very old picture.
Oh.
Yes.
Who is that, Swami?
It is on the screen, Maharaj.
Yeah, but who's the Gaudiya Math sannyasi there?
Oh, that we don't know. Somehow I got it on our WhatsApp, and we found it. You were also present in this.
Maybe Sridhar Swami, or I don't know. Ladi Thakur, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. So Bhakti Charu Swami had sannyas then? That is danda there?
No, Maharaj.
Is that danda?
He's a sannyasi.
Not a danda.
Dressed as a sannyasi.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare